Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We've got some more Fluttercraft news to talk about today because this is a big one. We've got our Gnasp Bombardier with Overrun attack, and we're going to be able to talk about this today and kind of compare this to everything else we know about the Fluttercraft right now, which I think is a pretty important thing because this is a pretty groovy looking support now. I think it's been shown to have a little more context, and I think we're going to like it a little bit more than initially, like than some of the first previews of this particular craft. A couple of things, if you guys didn't already know, or if you're new here, be sure to enter to win the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. We're going to announce the winner for that next week before the mini extravaganza, so stay tuned for that. And we'll probably do some more giveaways during the mini extravaganza as well. Also, shout out to this channel sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. We have amazing full metal tokens from Luxury Playstyle. And if you didn't already know, I've talked about it a little bit. We are very, very close to coming out with some Legion tokens. So stay tuned for that. But if you play X-Wing or you play other games like Arkham, actually I use a lot of these, especially the shield tokens in my Legion games now. They're great all-purpose tokens. You're going to save 15% by using code Crabbok VIP, and also on orders of $35 or more while supplies last, you're going to get one of these groovy lightsaber nunchuck tokens for free thrown in. So check out luxuryplaystyle.com and let's start talking about the Rada Gnasp, the Rada Gnasp. Yes, right. We've got our Gnasp Bombardier with the Overrun attack. This is a 20-point crew. It's immune to deflect, overrun 2, suppressive, and then we've also got the 2 red and 2 white, and it's very, very interesting. Now, 20 points is pretty cheap. We're going to talk a little more about the overrun attack. I don't know why they decided to preview comms jammer. We've had that forever. I think that came in the core set. Thanks. You know, it's definitely something you might want to run on this particular vehicle, however. So like that is kind of cool, except, you know, maybe you wouldn't. Now, it's not 15 points anymore. According to the last points update, it's only 5 points. But still, I mean, like, you got the hacked comms unit now, which completely overwrites comms jammer, right? Well, kind of. We'll see. It all depends on how you want to run it, I suppose. But the Gnasp Bombardier is pretty interesting with 2 red and 2 white. So it's a decent attack for only 20 points. It's cheaper than the other crew option. And it's got Overrun 2, so you can do this attack twice. And these are free attacks. They're not attack actions, so you can actually still do a normal attack if you're able to do your compulsory move, and everything lines up perfectly. This is a unit that could potentially attack 3 times in an activation, which is kind of groovy. And I think, you know, granted, it's going to take a little bit of playstyle and it's going to get killed really, really quick. But if somehow it doesn't get killed, it can put out a lot of suppression and potentially put out a pretty good amount of damage. So the Gnasp Bombardier is interesting. A lot of people are talking a little bit about immune to deflect, and it's really there, I think, to future-proof this attack. But there are other types of lightsaber masteries that get included with the immunity to deflect in the RRG. I believe Gemso or something like that is one of them. But the immunity to deflect is for other attacks. Normally, deflect only works on ranged attacks, and while Overrun is not a ranged attack, nor is it a melee attack, it is still an attack, and there's always the chance of future lightsaber keywords or other types of deflect-based keywords having some type of deflection ability that works on any attack, and thus that's why they wanted to, you know, manually future-proof this one and say it's immune to deflect, just to make sure that that it wouldn't, you wouldn't basically be able to be deflected by any clever wording of future abilities, as well as some of the more obscure lightsaber masteries. It's got Overrun 2. We talked about that. It's suppressive, so since it's not a ranged attack, it would normally deal a suppression token, but because you're dropping bombs on people, they gave it the suppressive keywords. That means even if you miss, it's still going to give them 1 suppression, so I kind of like that. And again, Overrun is they really kind of spell it out for you in this kind of enhanced version. This is kind of a little bit more like they didn't put the examples. Like for example, this particular unit can do it twice, but yeah, you can't be used as a fire support with here. You can't. It's this weapon only. You can't use anything else. You know, it's just basically these 4 dice and that's it. It does also ignore cover, which, you know, again, they shouldn't really have to specify that because of the fact that it's not a ranged attack, so you don't really, but it's like they're just you know, definitely they're definitely future-proofing that. But yeah, you can do this attack twice, and you know, if you were to compulsory and then move, you could do this attack 3. Well, you can't do this attack 3 times. You can do overrun attacks potentially 3 times if a unit were to have overrun 3. But the overrun keyword in that 2 is what specifically is the hard cap of how many free attacks you're going to get after a move, and it's immediately after the move. So that's pretty cool. This would be a nice way to kind of get in there and break up certain standby options as well. Well, although I guess you know, they probably would be able to attack you with the standby before you get in there. But if you can displace them, then I think that would probably work too, which you can do on your compulsory move. We got a nice little piece of art there for the Grenadier, kind of throwing basketballs down, throwing the Boombas. I really was hoping. Look, I love the basket of grenades too. Like, I love that. I think this is definitely how I'm going to be building my Fluttercraft. I think I'm going to definitely put this particular guy on there. And this is honestly, this is kind of one of those vehicles that are like, I think a lot of people might seriously be tempted to buy 3 of. And I know that that's tricky because you really don't always run triple support, do you? But this is just, and the thing is that the problem is it can be killed pretty quickly. You know, let's look at the because I'm going to come back to the other, you know, the other gunner, because the Gnasp gunner is just not as good compared to this, right? But so this thing can die fairly easy. It doesn't have armor. It's made of wood, and so it's just got a white defense die, and I mean it's got surge for defense, but like I think like 2 good attacks, you know, can take this thing down. Especially anybody with sharpshooter or any kind of piercing on here is definitely going to do that. And the other thing is, if it even gets to that 3 damage, it's going to possibly break. So that much is going to be hurting. Now, it is immune to blast, and of course melee and range 1 weapons. So you know, so those blasting attacks aren't going to potentially, you know, eliminate the cover 2, but sharpshooter still potentially will. So, you know, yeah, only 6 health. It's speed 2, and so like I don't know, man. This is one of those that I'm gonna have to get out and fly in a couple of games and really see, you know, how well it's really working. If it's dying before it gets anywhere, which again supports can do, then I guess we'll have to see how it goes. But it looks fun to me. It definitely looks fun. Now, 20 points for the you know, the Grenadier or the bomber versus only 25 for the Gnasp gunner, and this guy doesn't give you, you know, like, this is one like you'd have to fly it completely differently, right? Like if you're running, if you're dropping bombs, then you're going right at the opponent. You're trying to drive through people as fast as you can. But here the, you know, and it kind of reminds me of the Reckless Driver for the AA5. But here, this guy is like, if you run the Gnasp gunner, you're gonna have to be like flying on the outskirts. Or you're trying to like go around. You kind of want to still go kind of towards them, but then fly away, because you have to line up that rear shot. I mean, it's a decent rear shot, but oof, you know, like I feel like he's the higher skill cap. You know, you have to, because you have to angle your rear at people. But that's tricky. That's tricky to do. I mean, maybe this is the more survivable way too. Maybe if you're going to dive directly into everybody, you're going to suicide bomb. And maybe if you don't want it to be a suicide bomb, you kind of bring that guy. That's kind of my thought process. Again, hacked comms unit is also coming in this, as well as just about everything else, and that's going to kind of defeat the purpose maybe of running comms jammer. That then maybe you want to give everybody orders except for your support, so you have a pretty good chance. And that's probably going to work better if you're running triple support, so you leave all of them in the pile and have a pretty good chance of pulling them early. I guess we're going to see about that. But the Gnasp Bombardier, I think I've called it a bomber and a grenadier. So like, again, I'm like randomly coming up with crazy things in this particular description of the card. But yeah, no, I think this is definitely the clear winner. Because the Bombardier kind of makes the whole thing work, right? It's a speeder. It's got it's got speed 2. It's got a decent enough size base where it's going to travel pretty far. It's got that compulsory move. It can get 3 attacks per turn if it lines everything up right. You can compulsory, boom, displace, boom, move again, boom again, and then by at the end of the day, we're gonna shoot you. That's pretty cool. They can be on, they may be on 3 different units. They may be on some combination, or maybe you'll get really lucky and manage to get everybody. I don't know if I think you'd have a hard time shooting the same unit 3 times, but I guess it is possible if you kind of land on a unit only halfway, and then your next move also goes through them. You'll probably be able to do that. But yeah, the Gnasp looks pretty fun with the Bombardier. A lot better than I think we had initially thought. So I want to hear what you guys think. What do you think of the Gnasp? What do you think of the Bombardier? Are you how many are you planning on getting? What do you think? Do you think this is like maybe just to get one first, see how nice it is, see how well it works, then maybe get another one, or are you going like 3 right away, or are you one of those folks that wants to get more than 3, like for those Grand Army games? It'd be really interesting. Especially if they somehow come up with some kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, the Gnasp counts as a core, so you can run an all Wookiee army if you want to do that. Like that'd be some crazy. They'd run out of these things just like that. It'd be like impossible to get them because everybody would be buying like 3, 4, 5, or 6 of these things if that were the case. Well, maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people would. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to Luxury Playstyle for sponsoring the video. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. When swinging through trees, try not to grab a really long snake because it might bite you. So just be careful when doing that. Thanks so much and have a great day.